So, hey guys, today we're going to be talking about Master Duel's, well, not just Master Duel, Yu-Gi-Oh's in general biggest issue at the moment, in my opinion. So, yeah, the biggest issue is that every single card, pretty much, well, not every single card, just the majority of the cards in the game are advantageous more so to the going first player. So, if we go through just some basics here, floodgates. So if I am going second with skill drain, then my opponent can play, do whatever the hell they want, and then they can go ahead, flips. Well, if I flip skill drain on them, then well, skill drain's not that effective at that point, so it's like, eh, you know. And then if I'm the one doing it, I go first, do whatever I do, and then I flip skill drain. Same thing, right? But except not really, because now I have a full end board with skill drain versus my opponent has a full end board and I have just a lonely skill drain. I mean, yeah, it's going to be worlds of difference, but like skill drain's not that good of an example of this. So a better example would be, I guess, maybe like Macrocosmos, where you could do like pull any combo and then flip over Macrocosmos, and it'll be pretty effective for most decks, I would say, to do this. It's just not something you would do because you're not guaranteed to always go first. But if you were guaranteed to always go first, playing solemns and such becomes more viable, and you don't need to play certain hand traps because, yeah, if you're guaranteed to go first, why wouldn't you want solemn to cover your bases? So yeah, that's pretty disgusting, no? So we even have the idea of doing something like flip Macrocosmos. Our opponent tries red reboot, then we go ahead, change Solemn to it, right? And of course, also Solemn Judgment. Useless against a board that's been fully set up. But against one that's attempting to set up, it completely dominates. And that's how most of the game goes. So that's the basic idea, but just to really hammer it in here, if we are playing any hand trap, for the most part. The only exception to this is that uh, frames kind of exist now, but at the same time, it's kind of like 50-50 on this. But main idea here is that the majority of hand traps can be utilized whether you are the going first or the going second player, which of course means that you can have a full end board and then you can start dropping whatever hand traps. So like Ash Blossom from hand, Effect Failure, and then Imperm is going to be set in the back row, but it's like same thing, you know? It's just not in hand, so you could Duster it, technically, but we don't even have to get into the probability of that, do we? One of Duster, 10% chance to open. Yeah, it's not going to happen. And the most Dusters you'll be playing, or a Duster equivalents, will be 3. And then you have a 30% chance. You don't have options 70% of the time, basically. So that's cooked. We're not doing that, right? But yeah. Just you look at a card and you gotta think, damn, this card is just better going first. So if we were thinking in terms of, it doesn't even have to be like a mirror per se, but like if we have Malice, for example, and our opponent is playing Ryzeal, right? So X Ryzeal has this lovely effect where you can send a card from your extra deck, specifically Aspian XYZ, but yeah. With this, you can send Mirror Logic Aggregator to negate a card. And with both these cards, so we have like Dormouse and X Ryzeal, these basically are one card combos that convert into like a billion interactions, you know? Well, not literally, it's probably around, I don't know, so somewhere between 7 and 9, I would say, interactions. But yeah, the next issue, like with engine cards specifically, is that if I were to be going first with Dormouse, right, this dies to one interruption, technically, right? So the going first player, if they're allowed to combo, they end on multiple interruptions. Usually I'll say at this point in time, it's only going to go to around double digit interactions almost or higher. At some point, that will be even more so true. But I'll say a solid around seven, maybe 5 to 7 interactions. It would be like pretty normal. Depends on the exact deck, of course. But all right, with Dormouse, if we normal summon Dormouse, it well, I don't know what the combo is at the moment, but it used to translate into like 9 interactions off of just normal summon Dormouse. But of course, Dormouse by itself going second dies to a single interrupt. So we imperm Dormouse, it's over. It doesn't convert to anything anymore, right? But if you're the going second player, right, you have even less opportunity than the going first player to make use of your engine pieces because the going first player is going to be able to, for example, do things like set and activate skill drain. You have the idea to do things like that, right? You have hand traps also, and then you have the engine that will convert into multiple interruptions. And then we have X Ryzeal, which is a little bit more interesting because this has some going second ability. But same thing, same thing. If we imperm on X Ryzeal, it's still dead, and you can't convert it to anything anymore. So therefore, you can't really play. But if you are going first, you'll have a better opportunity to then play through less interruptions and actually get your combo through. So going first, well, yeah, the first player has higher odds, I guess, of being able to just combo because of how the game is kind of just designed. The going second player is unlikely to be able to play because of the aspects I mentioned before. And then we have hand traps in the game. So if we just go with Ash Blossom backed by an N board versus Ash Blossom backed by hopes and dreams, which is better, right? So we have the idea of also something like Spray Elf backing Maxi. So you cannot call by Maxi anymore, and you would have to specifically Ash Blossom it. But you might also have like, I don't know, Sprite Red and Carrot to potentially also back up the Maxi even harder if you wanted to do it like that. Well, I have some feelings about that. Like how if you're in that position, like regardless of Maxi, you were already kind of cooked. But yeah, in general, the the more cards we look at, if we were to go through the majority of the cards, well, all of the cards in the game, the majority of the cards would be advantageous to the going first player, and that's just how it is. Especially the good cards are going to be better for the going first player. So we have floodgates, we have hand traps, we have engine pieces. Um, with removal, that's pretty much the only thing that is not better for the going first player. So we have specifically cards like Raigeki, which will be dead. Uh, Duster will also be dead. Assuming you're the going first player, there's not going to be much you can do about this because the games end so fast. Just um, usually games end extremely fast in Yu-Gi-Oh nowadays, and that could almost be its own topic. But yeah, if I'm going first, my opponent has no board, so I cannot Raigeki, and they have no set cards because it's my turn. So Duster is also dead. And that's like the general idea behind these cards, right? And also like evenly matched, which activates from hand, but your opponent needs to well have done something kinda because it requires a battle phase. So yeah. And with side frames, if we go back to side frames briefly, you can generically make lambda. So gamma wouldn't necessarily be dead in your hand. So yeah, that's just great, I guess. So assuming you are the going first player, you do have the option of making lambda so that your gamma is still alive or still live. So yeah, the advantages to the going first player, it's just everywhere. Like with hand traps, they're better for the going first player if the going first player activates them. If they have like Called by the Grave, etc., it's going to be much better. Like, just for example, if we do have Called by the Grave, right? And I were to activate Called by the Grave, you know? Not super interesting, but if I were to do so, I activate Called by, then my opponent is going to um, activate something to negate the Cult by the Grave, right? That's only really possible, or that's much more possible, depending on your perspective. Like if Bell is being played, technically, that could cover for the Called by the Grave. But aside from that, it's mostly going to be um, like monster-based interaction, like maybe Baron de Fleur negate Called by the Grave, right? Something like that. And if we're able to go first, we're going to be able to obviously set up Baron much easier than if it were our opponent's turn and we're going second. Like, it is technically possible, but is it that plausible, that consistent? Not really, versus all the starters we have for the going first player. So, yeah, if we just keep on looking, keep on trucking through, that's just how it is, yeah? Engine, non-engine, hand traps. If they're being backed by like engine like this, the going first player obviously has an advantage because, you know, the cards could die to a few interruptions, or even if they don't die to a few interruptions, they'll still be advantageous just conceptually, right? So, yeah, that's all I got for you guys today, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye.